call the July 18th meeting of the Water Districts to order. Please take roll call. Fine?
Yes. All good. Oh,
Is this the extra packet?
that probably is. Yep. Here you go.
I think it's on record.
Jim Zarnik,
Present.
Joan McInerney,
Present.
Ken Gambala,
Here.
Wayne Pondinas. Present. Joe Wizawati.
Present.
All right, you have the minutes for Tuesday, June 20th in front of you, or any corrections or additions? Otherwise, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye, motion carried. All right. We have, I lost my pen, there it is.
There you go.
Okay, new and old business is combined. 2023 water utility budget review by Sender. You want to?
Over here.
Over there.
Oh, there you are. You want to make some comments or say something about it?
Sure, sure. So as you recall, 2 months ago, we had put together a budget for the water utility, which has never been done in my memory. And so I've updated what I had put together through June 30th of 2023 to show what we've spent, of course, through June 30th. All of the assumptions are the same as what I had 2 months ago, and so there's really no changes to the proposed 2023 budget. The bond projects that Wayne Pondinas had sent over a month and a half ago have been implemented into this, and then we've also included some projects because there's been some shift around. Now, I don't want to get into that level of detail right now because what needs to happen is that you need to provide a recommendation to council so that we can get a budget into the appropriation reports. We can get a budget recommended to council. And so with that, there's really no changes, and it's up to you to discuss. We can always come back later this year and make an amendment to this 2023 budget. However, this is up to you for any questions.
So I would say this is fantastic progress, and even if it's not perfect, let's start somewhere. So I think it's good enough. So I would be in favor of moving it along.
And so for me, I thought great progress too. I mean, this at least helps us understand, you know, where we're tracking, you know, month to month. The only question that I had, so, you know, when you look at, you know, bottom line that we're, you know, 50% through the year, but we're at 25% of the spending. So when I looked at it, the line item that seemed to be driving it was the bond project costs.
Yes,
So are they back end loaded? Is that how we have it, or?
the bottom line budget versus actual variance is a bit misleading, like what I believe you're saying, because the $5.78 million in that bond proceeds fund kind of adds into the calculation. What would be a really nice calculation for all of you, I believe, is an operational ratio. Operation reserve over operating costs, which would take out any transfers, potential transfers. It would take out the bond proceed costs that you see in there. So that's why 25% is a little bit misleading.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So could you look at that from all the other expenses, like some ones that are more operational, like through, but then when you get to the bond, you can't really look at the percent as far as percent year elapsed versus spending?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Well, it sounds like we're ready for a motion then.
I'll make the motion to
Approve resolution number
WW.
WW 2023-07-18, which is a resolution for the St. John Waterworks Board setting the annual budget for 2023.
Exactly what you said, Joe. Thank you.
So show the record that Joe made a motion. Is there a second?
I'd second.
Okay. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried, unanimous. All right, next we got finally the Acorn Water Project. You have in front of you the Robinson Engineering, Acorn Water Improvements bid recommendation and tabulation. Normally the bids are open at the meeting. Did you guys do that at a meeting, or?
Yes, sir, we did.
Okay.
It was done, it was publicly advertised, it was done at 10 a.m. on July 17th. It was done in conjunction with your CCMG roadway paving project.
Okay.
And-
And then normally we take it under advisement, so you make a recommendation. So are you ready for that tonight?
I'm sorry,
Are you ready for a recommendation? Because normally we open them and take them on, have them taken under advisement.
Right. That's what the correspondence in front of you states is what we did, and if you like, I can kind of explain it to you on what we did. So, on July 17th at 10 a.m. in this town hall room here, we took bids for projects for the Acorn Water Main Sanitary Sewer and Roadway improvements. There were 3 bids received. One was M&J Underground, which was $1,344,853.25. The second bidder was Grimmer Construction, $1,631,293.50. And the third bidder was Gatlin Plumbing. And Gatlin Plumbing was $1,650,000 even. So the bids range between 1.34 to 1.65. The engineer's estimate of the project was 1.35. The low bidder, M&J Underground, was approximately 0.4% away from the engineer's estimate. We've reviewed the details behind M&J Underground and their past work, and we believe that they could complete the project. We've also had conversations with them regarding why their number was $300,000 less. They informed me they were hungry and they want to get a job with St. John. That's what they told me. We also took we also broke up the project according what were the water main job portion of it and what was also the sanitary sewer and abandonment lift station portion of it. And so with the total contract, $1,344,853.25, it's our opinion that water should be paying $1,121,008.75, and sewer should be paying $233,844.50. Now, if you're wondering how we came up with that, if you go to the last 2 pages of the recommendation, this is the actual bid that M&J put together. On the blue column are the water pay items, and the green column are the sewer pay items. There's an economy of scale of putting this together, where you're not paying for mobilization twice, you're not having different contracts out there in the resident interaction also. Also included in the bid recommendation is a bid tabulation of all the pay items with all 3 contractors and the engineer's estimate, do a side-by-side comparison. So with all that said, after reviewing the background on the contractor, after reviewing the bids, after doing a mathematical check of the bids, it's our recommendation that the bid is awarded to M&J Contractor in an amount of $1,344,853.25.
Are they ready to mobilize?
Yes, sir, they are.
Because we're running, going to be the end of July, so.
Mhm.
Okay. Sometimes the low bid isn't ready, so
Right.
that's why.
So, Mr. President, I have to tell you that Mr. Wizawati informed me that this bid will have to be approved by 3 different boards. It'll be approved by the Water Board, the Sewer Board, and the Town Council. So if you do make a recommendation award, it should be contingent on approval by Sanitary Board and Town Council on it.
Yeah, that's more time, so.
But it's working out that the Sanitary Board's gonna see it tonight, and the Sewer, and the Town Council's gonna see it on Thursday night. That's why we moved the bid date up before the meetings, so we could open at 10. And plus, we had 2 bids we had to go after, too. We had the CCMG job and this one, too.
Yeah, otherwise you're putting it logistically to where we're waiting till next month before we can award the bid. So that's why we did the bid opening, had his review, and then the recommendation comes to you tonight,
You know,
so.
my concern all the time is restoration is the last thing, and we'll be getting into the fall, so that's why, you know, time-wise.
Can I explain a little bit about that also? So the restoration on the sewer portion of this is gonna be running through the field adjacent to where the creek is. We're not really getting on people's properties a lot. We're gonna be working from back of curb to back of curb, the water mains going in there. The places that we have service lines that are going to the homes, there'll be restoration on it, but it's gonna be minor. It's not like the whole thing's gonna be torn up. The road's gonna be torn up in the sewer for the water main it will be. But the service lines going on to people's properties, we don't think with the restore. So it's not gonna be a lot of landscaping involved in it.
Is the water main in the right of way or under the pavement?
It's gonna be under the pavement right now. The whole right-of-way's kind of filled up right where it's at, so.
And they'll just connect onto the existing service connections?
We're gonna connect on the service connection at the right-of-way line, Mr. Wisawati.
Okay.
So we're gonna go from the water main, so everything underneath the new pavement is gonna be new.
Right.
There won't be anything old besides the sanitary sewer, which is no indication there's a problem with it.
Gotcha.
Questions?
So has M&J, they've not done any work for St. John in the past?
Not, no. So let me just tell you how I checked their references. I looked at the current projects they're working on. They've got like some $4 million jobs in the Old Forest area. They've done some work in Chicago Heights. They have a pre-qualification for IDOT, which isn't INDOT, I know that, for drainage work for $7.5 million. They have the capability of doing it. And it's a big price difference between M&J and Grimmer. It's $300,000. And we got a performance bond, we got guarantees, we're gonna have inspection on it. It's your choice on how you wanna go forward on this. But they appear that they could do the work.
Okay, well,
And when you say the engineering estimate was 1.3 million, was that with Robinson?
That's mine, yes.
Your
You
estimate
know,
of it?
I
Okay.
could tell you right now, ma'am, if you look at this page here, the first column is what the engineer's estimate is.
Right.
And then the other three columns that are three different contractors working on it. You go down to the bottom line, it's 1.3 and change, I think it is.
got anything?
I have no questions.
All right, well, we need to make a motion on a recommendation to the council from the Water District.
I'll make a motion for approval of award of the project to M&J Underground.
I would second that.
We have a motion and a second for M&J Underground. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Motion carried unanimous. On to the Water District, Sewer District. All right,
Oh, if we could, I know he mentioned it as part of the record for that motion. If that motion could include contingent upon the approval of the town council and the sanitary district as well.
I think that's a good point, because it cannot be awarded independently.
Right.
But
If
not
we could just
awarding it,
have
we're
that,
making a
because he did
recommendation.
mention it before the motion was made, but that should have been part of that motion, if you guys are in agreement with that.
I blew it and you didn't help me
I
out there.
I just caught it because I'm like, whoa, wait, time out. Yeah, I don't think you need to revote.
But our
this.
motion
We'll
was-
make that as part of the record, that's all.
I thought our motion was a recommendation.
It is the recommendation, but it's still, as part of that motion is to have the contingent upon approval of the sanitary district and the town council. Because to Mr. Nagel's point,
I guess I'm missing some recommendation based on contingency?
well,
of
the reason
approval?
it's contingent is because, to Mr. Nagel's point, you can't do a portion of it and not the other. So if the water board decided we're gonna do ours, but sanitary district doesn't do theirs.
I'm looking at it, we're
Complicates
not approving awarding, we're approving recommending.
Right,
That's what I thought the motion was, but whatever you want.
yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Ken.
So what do you want to do? Remotion?
No, we'll have that as part of the motion, is the contingency.
Okay. Next, we apparently have 3 invoices for task numbers. I need some explanation. Going back in the minutes, we had discussions in the past, and some of the a couple meetings ago, about some of the work that has been done, some of the work that needs to be done. There was in the minutes, it said, Mr. Wisawati asked that the board authorize the work already done on it in order to pay Robinson. Okay, then, according to the way I read the minutes, not to approve more work, okay? Somebody wants to explain what this is about then?
Yeah, these are what we were talking about at the previous meeting with respect to paying for the work that's already been complete, but we're not moving forward on the task orders. going forward until those task orders are revised and presented back to the water board.
But the question was, who authorized the work?
I did.
So, but you're only supposed to go up to like $5,000.
Wayne, we have an agreement in place with Robinson.
You have an agreement with Robinson to September of 14 to 22 to do the work. My question is, who authorized this? How do you authorize doing a well house, a well house, not a well house, I'm sorry, a treatment plant? We don't even have land for it, Joe. There is no land for it yet. We were thinking we were going to take the park property, or we were going to take the house that's next to the skate park.
That's right.
But how do you tell somebody to do a plan on something that you don't have, that you don't have land for? That's like me building a house for you in the middle of nowhere, but I don't own the property. It's not right. And what brings this up is we had approximately 12 work orders, task orders, that accumulated to $2.7 million. Who authorized that? We had to get the boards to sign off on that so you wouldn't get in trouble. This does not seem right what happened here. And all of these,
Wayne,
but I have a right to my opinion.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. What I'm saying is that with respect to work getting done, there's work that's done by the attorney all the time. It's not authorized necessarily by the council. There's work
But
that's done.
he's on a
Professional service agreement.
He's on a service agreement.
And so
This
is
is
Robinson.
different. These are different projects.
It's on the same
No,
type of
I don't
agreement.
agree with you.
Well, it's true.
I don't agree with you.
It's true. I know you didn't vote for it, but it's true.
Right. I mean, I didn't, well, I won't get into that part.
Right.
But this isn't right. I mean, how do you do this? We had plans, and we brought that up, and that's in the minutes. We brought that up, that we have plans for 2 well houses. Now we spend another $20,000 for what?
Mr. Nagel, can you?
Mr. Nagel didn't do anything wrong.
I understand
Okay,
it,
or
but-
did his company.
But let me ask you a question. Can you work under the plans that were provided by Haas? Can you do work on that?
Cannot.
Can you explain why?
It has to be done under direct supervision of Robinson to be a Robinson plan.
Right.
So that's
Oh,
the
and that's
reason
what
why.
engineers want their stamp on their product. They don't want to grab somebody else's. But again, I find that this is ridiculous how this was done. We had so many task orders, it's crazy. You should take one task order at a time.
Well, then maybe we
Find-
shouldn't do any task orders and go back to the way that we did it before.
Find out what the project's going to be, what it's going to cost, and where's the money going to come from.
And how
And
do
when
you,
we keep doing appropriations, well,
how do we find out how much a project's going to cost? How do we?
You're going to have to find out with the engineer. But how many projects can you do at one time? You can't do all these projects at one time.
Okay, but
What we're trying to do is catch up from what wasn't done years and years ago.
there you go.
And I'm not blaming anybody, but that's just what it is. That $2.7 million in work orders was not exactly right to have all done at one time.
Could I ask some questions, please?
Yeah.
All right. So, looking at the agenda, and this is the first I'm seeing this. So, this is involving task orders 2207, 8, and 9. So that's the treatment plant, those are the wells, and then the interconnecting water main.
right,
Yes,
which,
sir.
I don't have a copy of the invoice for the interconnecting water main. So all this work was done when, Tom?
Well, the invoices are dated April, so that means that it was done a month before, in March. And then one of the invoices dated in March, so it's February and April. After that, we kind of put the brakes on everything. You know, that's when it was discussed that let's see what's gonna happen with the pilot study, let's put a stop to it. And we put a stop on it. The work occurred over the winter. A lot of it was the topography. We had a lot picked out for the regional treatment plant. It was a lot that Mr. Lawton owned that was gonna be dedicated to the town. It was verbal, then that stopped. And then we found a different one. We did topography on that. On Clyde Avenue, because we have an internet connecting water main that could connect well number 9 and with the regional treatment plant and also going water main south, we did the topography on that. On the well house 8 and 9, we had our footprint well houses that we done. We were fitting it on the land, and that whole thing stopped too on it. So we did a lot of field work. We did a lot of topography. We did a lot of data analysis as far as what could fit on these lots, and we did also all the survey work, which we have a gentleman named Randall Gann, has to get all the plats of subdivision to find the right-of-ways and so forth on it. We were in the beginning stages of it. We knew it was gonna take about a year, and we're in the beginning stages of it.
So my last question is, I remember having this conversation when these task orders came up before. And I don't remember the timing on it. So I remember we were considering approving task orders 7, 8, and 9. And then that's when found out that work had already proceeded. And I was surprised at the time. But then I thought we had agreed at that point, we're not gonna do any more work going forward until the task orders are approved. When was that? I don't know if anybody happens to remember. I would have to go back and look at the minutes.
I want to say like April, maybe March meeting.
Well, you're kind of doing it backwards. You're doing the work, and then you're paying. It should be the other way around. You should have like a request to purchase, whatever. This is what we want to do, and do it that way.
No arguing with that, Wayne. It's just, it's kind of like when this was brought to light, we pretty much, as a board, decided, okay, well, we're not going to authorize any more work going forward from Robinson Engineering on these projects.
That's correct.
So that's why I'm asking when this work was done.
Because in the March 21st meeting, according to my notes, I had that we had tabled 2207, 2208, and 2209 because they were new and we had tabled them. There were previous ones in that course of that meeting that we had approved. But these were on hold.
I know the invoices say that they're March, but it was for work that was done in February on it. And you haven't seen an invoice for March, April, or May either for work's been done then. So, I mean, I took heed to what you told me. I mean, it wasn't like trying to slide one in on you. So,
No, again, the task orders were first brought up at the May 16th meeting. And the 8 and 9 design some work was already done on it. And the town manager suggested that we pay for it so far up to that point. Now, the regional treatment plan, it says halt this work until
Right.
actual location has been determined.
Right. And that's where we're at with it. That's where we're at, Ken.
You're paying for something on that treatment plant task order when we didn't even have the land. And how do you make a building design when you don't have the land and you don't know which way the water's coming in or anything? You can reason, and it can be here, it can be there, but how do you even tell somebody to draw up a plan on a building that you don't know where it's going to be? That's what I don't like.
So that's on the task order 2208.
But how do you know how much land you need without doing some kind of preliminary engineering to determine what size plant you need? What size?
But yeah, I think you need to get the land first,
Well, but again, if
and
you-
then make your
to
decision.
your point, do you get an acre and then, oh, we need an acre and a half? You know, and then we,
And even right now, we don't know how we're going to treat that water exactly. So we've kind of, you've wasted money.
Are you presented, did they present a breakdown of all the work that was done?
it's on the invoice here, Ken.
I guess I don't have it.
Mr. Cabal, it's being billed on a percent complete, not on time and material.
So it's where you've got at the beginning, is that's your breakdown? Review, site meetings, property plats. Okay. I understand Wayne's point. My personal point of view is if work was actually done and authorized, they should be paid for it. Okay, now how it was done is questionable.
It depends on how it was
And we need
requisitioned to get
watch that
done.
more in the future.
You have a board to
That's why
decide things,
we have the
not
task
just one
orders for
person.
that.
But if this
Correct.
work, if you're satisfied that this work was done for the town,
Yeah.
he deserves to be paid. That's my opinion. The rest of you, the other board members may decide something else, but
I would just, I mean, this is the same comment that I made months ago. I mean, I just pulled up the minutes from the March meeting. It's the same statement that I would make, right? So Robinson Engineering was authorized to do the work. by the town manager. And so they went forward and they did the work. So now we can't put the genie back in the bottle, right? So I don't think Robinson Engineering did anything wrong. Going forward, these task orders need to be approved before any work goes forward. This is for work that was in January and February. So I agree with Ken in that I think that we should pay Robinson for the work that's been done. And no, no further approval of, or authorization
or
of work,
authorized,
no
right.
payment for anything any future invoices that might come up following these dates when we had this discussion, and let's do it by the book.
I agree.
What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this in March. I don't think it was disclosed in March that work had already been done on these.
Oh, no, we did, there was
I
discussion about
thought we
that,
were,
yeah.
I thought we had tabled them at that
That-
point, because they were new ones. We did,
The task orders weren't new, but the work performed, we did discuss that. There was work that was performed on those.
I remember that, Joan, because when I found it, I don't remember how it came up, but it was like, oh, by the way, we've already done survey for these projects, or at least one of them.
And that's to
And-
Tom's point, when that all came up, that's when we put the brakes on all of that right now, and that's where we're at with it. He hasn't done any work, or Robinson hasn't done any work since that point.
Okay, because the statement in the minutes was suggested halting, this is the treatment plant part, 2208, because no location has been determined, and the work that was done, the services was dated through March 3rd, so that's prior to that meeting, so
okay.
that's,
Okay, I stand corrected on that. I guess Jim, to your point, I would support your point that, you know, the genie's, we gotta stop the genie from getting out of the bottle prematurely, right?
Yeah.
So that we have to approve it, and then work could commence on it, not that work has started on it, and then we're approving it.
Right, and the thing is with the task orders, this is new to the town, so we haven't operated under a task order with our
Process.
engineer. This is something we put together in September of last year that the council approved, so that way the task orders can be done. And it makes the process go a lot more transparently. Everyone knows what's going on beforehand. And Robinson understands it, we understand it. It was just getting used to that way that the task orders were issued and stuff. Originally, it was designed to where the town manager can authorize the work under the task orders. But after, talking to some people, I thought the councils and the board should be approving the task orders. And Robinson agreed with that as well. So that's where we're at with that.
Yeah, and I would also say that I agree with your comment earlier, Joe, of that sometimes that there's some preliminary work that needs to be done. Like you can't design, you can't go and secure land before you know how much land you need.
Right.
So, and that may need to be done as a part one of the work order, that we have to define the scope.
Maybe that's outside of the task order. Maybe that's part of the time and hours, then they could just bill it for giving us a preliminary idea of what this is going to cost, put the task order together, and we go forward from there.
But you don't plan the building before you get the property. And you can look at the.
Or you don't plan the property, you don't know what property you need and how much property you need until you've done the work.
But you have to get the
Or where it
property
goes.
first, and you can look at the treatment plants that we have. How much, do we have an acre? Do we have an acre and a half? That's probably what we're gonna need. If we can get 3 acres, maybe that's better. But
It's a
there's
chicken
not a lot
and-
of land that's available
Chicken
in
and
town.
egg.
It's a chicken and egg. It's a
Right.
chicken and egg, yeah.
so sometimes we have to work with the land size that we're gonna get,
Right,
not necessarily what we want. That's happened to us before.
go vertical.
Not making this any more complicated than it needs to be, but if we shift the location of the treatment plant, then survey will have to be done again, right?
Yes, sir. But you gotta keep in mind, everything done on Klein Avenue will not be, and anything with OLs 8 and 9, I'll give you an update on that when we get to the report section of this. We had a conversation with item is gonna be changing too. I would say the only thing that is money not well spent is the survey and the topography of the regional treatment plant.
Yeah.
I say that would be the only thing. And with this property was dedicated to come back to the town in reference as being a park. And in Mr. Wizawati's defense, I'm not gonna defend him on it, but in his defense, he thought we could swap that over to be town property, but it didn't work out that manner.
Surveys are always money well spent.
What's that?
Surveys are always money well spent, right?
Yeah.
Speaking
But
as a
all the
surveyor.
work on Klein Avenue eventually is gonna be used, and all the work on, and for the well houses, when we decide how we're gonna go forward with
All right,
everything.
well, want to take them one at a time, or can we prove them together?
You could just do a one vote and just name all the
All
invoices.
right. All right, we're looking at a motion for approving Robinson invoices numbers 2303081 and 230400129 for task order 2207. Also, invoice number 2303082 for task order 2208. And thirdly, invoice number 23030183 for task order 2209. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it, motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. All right, you've got the floor again.
Okay, so we had this, we were planning on presenting our ideas to IDEM and regarding unloading the existing filters you have right now at a higher rate by changing the media out. And the higher rate was at 6 gallons per square foot. And so what the town did, the town hired a company called Peerless Midwest to do a bench test out there, a pilot test on it. And they came back and they proved that we can do that by using, it's called Oxy Plus 12 and with the anthracite top on it. And we've had these studies done before. We had these approved before by IDEM. There's a gentleman who runs the permitting division, IDEM, named Lance Berry, and we communicated with him that we want to set up a meeting. We had a team meeting where Bob Valois, Bob Davis, Joe Wizawati, Wayne Pondinas was involved in all the planning up to this. Peerless Midwest, Water Surplus, and Robinson. And we presented the idea to him. We gave him probably about 40 documents beforehand. His team looked it over, and we got every answer we wanted. He says he'll give us the 6 gallons per square foot. And so what that means that you don't have to build a regional treatment plant. You could upsize your existing filters now for probably about 15 cents on the dollar. So we think that by changing the media out of the existing filters, running more water through them through the existing wells that you have now when the 8 and 9 get up and running, the need for the regional treatment plant is going to be slowed down a bit. And that's wonderful news. And that also allows you, by next summer, to hopefully get off of Cherville water. We will not need them any more. So that's really, really important too. So right now, the way the conversation ended with IDEM, this was on Friday, it was that they needed some more data, and we're going to supply it to them by the end of this week, and then we're going to come back with a formal request, and we're going to let them lead us on how they're going to upgrade the existing capacity to 4 filter plant, the 4 filters that we have now. We have 2 at Monix, we have 2 over at Gates. This is a huge win. We think a regional treatment plant could be $5 or $6 million, and upgrade these filters could be about $1 million. So, woohoo! I know. Let's keep our fingers. This is long coming. I'll be honest with you. This idea was an out-of-the-box idea that started to meld, and the team worked together. And I just want to, commend the St. John team on this too. I mean, they did a lot of effort and work on this, and it all got pulled together and presented to IDEM, and IDEM gave us the verbal. We got to get some more information to them.
It wasn't even a challenge, really. I mean, with IDEM, they were pretty much on board with it. Said, yeah, we'll give you 6 if you can show us the results, and we've got them. So I think we just got a few more things to tick off on the report, and then send in a consolidated report, and I think they'll be happy with it.
Yeah. So we're real proud of that. That's good. Their big item also is the Acorn water main job. That
I'm
came
sorry,
in-
can I just, before we move on, so what would be the timing then of we get from IDEM's approval that we could proceed with the 6 gallon, with this new median?
Okay.
What's the,
I'm going to give you a broad base on it.
Yep.
Okay, because I know I can't be pinned down on it exactly the timing. If IDEM comes back, let's say in August with an approval on it, which we don't know if it's going to happen or not, then what we want to do is we want to prepare plans and specifications for changing the media out of the filters, which could be a couple months on that, get a permit for that, and hopefully do the work over fall, winter on that. And then in the springtime, start running those plants, because the filter media needs a chance to settle and work its magic. So it's going to be, so hopefully springtime we'll be ready to go with it. So we're going to come back with a cost estimate for that for you. You got to approve that too. We're going to come back with the task orders for that also, and you're going to have to approve that. And I think it's going to be relatively simple, to be honest with you. The only big thing that we're concerned about, which we're doing the design on that now, is the interior piping of the plant. There's much more water going to be flowing through it. We got to determine the head loss and what's going to affect the well capacity is going to have. And that's what we're looking at now. And just so everybody knows, the time we've been spending on that task, we've been putting it on the regional treatment plant task order that we got approved. I know you're like, don't put any more time on it, but we got to this. It's a go or no go for me. I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wait. We had things rolling our direction where we wanted to go on it. So
I thought there was a pilot study line item that I saw got
it's
hit
getting
up.
much more extensive now, getting into the treatment plant on a portion of it. So I could show you the hours. I could show you. It's not a tremendous amount.
It's just like an accounting thing at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. One thing at a time. So,
Okay.
I know, Tom, you did bring up that there are some unknowns, right? So the condition of the filters, once the media is taken out, they'll be inspected. That could cause delays. That could be additional cost. But we won't know that until the contractor is actually doing the work, right?
That is correct, but you got to keep in mind, there are no moving parts in these filters. It's going to be some structural, painting, rusting, pitting, that kind of stuff is going to be fixed. And the contractor gave us a preliminary price, which came from Peerless Midwest for replacing the media. There's nothing for repair in there. We looked at the bottom chamber, which is visible, and it shows a little bit of rusting. It's the stuff where the media is at, because when they backwash the media, it fluidizes the bed and the media scours the side, and it could be some damage in there. What I've seen in my career, I probably looked at about 15 of these filters. It's not that big of a magnitude where we're junking the filter or we're replacing it. So
That doesn't have any effect on the settling basin, does it? For when they backwash, the settling, when they have it Monix.
no, it will re-stratify by itself due to the density of the media. So when they fluidize it, they remove all the iron and particulate that goes into the waste. Then when it comes back, they slow it down. It comes back according to the density of the media, where the densest materials on the bottom, lighter, going up on top.
They did a core sample on all the tanks, and two of them they're almost ready to be done. So they take the core, and they go all the way in, it's all media, and they'll check it, and at least one of the tanks at Monix has to be done, getting real close, so we're lucking out that way. And the media that they use has chlorine on it, or in it, and that attracts the iron, and then when they fluff it all up inside the tank, they wash it when it goes through backflush. So it's just like your softener in your house. Works basically the same way, I think, right, Tom?
Right. So the other important note too, I'm glad you brought this up, Mr. Pondinas, is that there's sulfur occurring in your water now. And there's an odor, and this media will take that out. There won't be an odor anymore. So that's really an aesthetic. It's called the secondary maximum contamination level. There's no adverse health effect to it. It just smells. And it smells like we've all been in rural places where it smells like rotten eggs. And that's kind of showing up right now. This media, it's Oxy Plus 12, removes the sulfur too. Does a great job on the manganese and does a great job on the iron. It's going to be a big improvement. And like what Wayne said, like over at the Monix plant, that filter media has been there since 2006-ish. Is that about right?
Right, and I think there's the diffusers on the bottom of the tank. Some of those are kind of maybe have to be replaced.
Okay. But the media has a certain life, and 15 years seems like a reasonable life for it. I think you'd be due for it no matter what. But when you do replace it, you're going to put a much better media in there, which allows us to load it with more water and allows it to take out sulfur too.
So I'm looking at the water utility docket from April. And there's a line item in there for wells 7, 8, 9 pilot study. So wasn't that what you've been charging to?
Been doing both, Jim. But now we're getting into the design of what the headworks are going to be like. I mean, we're into the point where in the face piping of the filter. Before it was going over the strategy and how they were going to do the pilot study and the system any way you possibly can.
I just think we got to separate out the accounting. I mean, I have no problem paying your hourly rates for work conducted to this point and work conducted going out in the future for the work. I mean, this, whatever, it's a bargain, right? But charging that to the task order that hasn't been approved, that's on a lump sum basis, the two don't go together, right?
Well, I haven't billed any of that either, Jim. So the last bill you saw on the regional treatment plant was work done in February,
Yeah.
you know, and so it's just holding there. I can put that
And
together.
that's the other part of it, Tom, is that you should get paid, right? I want Robinson to get paid as soon as possible. So I think if you separate it out, then that's something that we could easily
No problem.
approve.
So just bill it straight time on an invoice.
I will do that.
Yeah, under a line item just like that, and I would be just fine approving that.
That makes sense.
Consensus.
Yeah, what are we doing?
So it was a update.
Oh, this is the update, okay. Like consensus on what?
Other thing too is that we took the bids for Acorn, we talked about that. That was a complicated job, because it had a sewer component, a water component. It was the best thing for the residents, and things got pulled together in one single job. We're really proud of it. It came in right on target where we thought we were gonna be at. I know, we're looking forward to getting the pre-con started as soon as possible. When we get the pre-con, we'll get a schedule from the contractor. We'll then announce to the residents what's gonna be happening in the future. And I would really like to do a groundbreaking with the water board and the sewer board and the town council there. This is a big job for everybody. We're looking at combined, Joe's at 1.3? 1.3 million, you know, and, I think it'd be nice that people could see that this work is getting done and it takes time, and we're doing what we say we're gonna do. When I say we, I mean the town, so.
Yeah, because they were in here over a year ago,
Yeah, it was.
so they're looking for something to happen. I want to stop going to church. I keep running into those people.
Now you got something to tell them.
Yeah, either stop going to church then, you know? That's all I have.
When are we doing the pre-con meeting?
The pre-con meeting for the CCMG is set for next Friday.
For CCMG, but for Acorn, have we set
I
that
know,
up yet?
no, we haven't. I want to get, okay, so I want to make sure that this board's okay with it, sewer board's okay with it, town council board's okay with it for a schedule of pre-con, and it'll probably be the same day. We're going to do the pre-con for the CCMG from 9 to 10. If we could do something from 10:30 to noon. For the other one, we could do that. And then after that, we'll have a schedule and we could start pulling together stuff for a resident notification. But the residents should know it is going forward. We did everything, the town did everything they promised they were going to do. We got the permits, everything's in place, it's going forward.
Sounds good.
Okay. Wayne, town council liaison, what's the water main out here? I heard something about that, a test
Oh,
problem.
that, out here?
Yeah, they did pass test?
Yeah, they're out, they can't shut the water off. They made one connection on 93rd and 41, but they gotta make another connection. They can't shut the water off.
Is that?
They had to
were
fill back up the
down-
hole, I think. Yeah, up here on,
Looked
right
like they
there by
were going to the
the stoplight.
center of the earth this morning. I was out there.
Their valves, they shut off all these valves, and they still couldn't get the water off. I don't know, they don't know what's going on. And I think the water samples from 93rd to the tracks, I don't think that's passed yet. As of yesterday, they didn't. So they took the wire whips, the copper whips that come out of the new main, they put new ones in. They didn't know if there was any bacteria causing that to fail. So they're working on that. Maybe tomorrow they'll do more samples, but they did rechlorination. They did a lot of different things. They can't get it to pass yet, but they did make one connection for sure. I think that they got to make one more, and they're like 12 foot down in the ground
I saw that.
with the
yeah.
box and everything. It's,
I saw him out when I was coming back, and he's out there checking it out.
right,
so-
it just something that they got to figure out. So tomorrow they'll start all over again and see what happens.
Are they gonna have to put a line stop in?
I don't know.
I hope not.
Yeah.
It's a 12-inch main, and it's
It's a lot of
There's a
water.
lot of water,
It's a lot of water.
right?
Yeah.
Is the,
And
is
this
that
is-
hydrant going on the corner?
Yeah, up by the church.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be gone.
Okay, they were asking.
That, what
about
they
it.
did is they moved that hydrant and they
Across the
took it
street.
down by the church office, by that, almost
Okay.
close to that first house, that
Oh,
green
yeah,
house.
yeah.
That's on the
They wanted to
south
know
side.
because of the landscaping plan that they were
Right.
talking, when we were out there the other day.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What else you got, Wayne? Anything?
That's it.
Town manager.
Just something real quick, literally a housekeeping matter. So we got a quote for the cleaning of the water towers, and I just kind of wanted to find out what was your pleasure on this, because the Kilkenny Gates and Hack Tower, to get those cleaned, would be about $34,500 is the quote we got. If we wanted to do one of those a year or all of them together, whatever your pleasure is. I don't know whether we're gonna save money by waiting till, next year to do another one, but the Kilkenny one's probably our worst one. We definitely need to get that done.
That bid did come down because it was higher,
It did. It was actually,
42 or 45.
I think it was 45.6.
So then they
So-
didn't get a hit on it, and then they called back and they said, okay, we lowered it.
Here's another one.
We lowered it, yeah.
Yeah.
12,000. Here's a cheaper one. Years ago, when they washed them the last time, I think all three was $15,000. And now it like tripled in price. It went up to that 45, 47. Nobody hit on it. I gave all you guys the information on it, and then I just learned that it did come down. And that's the
34.5.
information that Joe has.
So if
But-
you guys are comfortable with going with 34.5, then, we can,
But then now you got to figure out where's the money going to come from, and we already know the cost. So
Did we get
610.
multiple bids?
61001 5360. It's already on there.
I don't know if they got more than one bid. There's not a lot of companies that do it, that what I understand. So it's somebody that I think maybe Cherville used, and we got their name. But the water operators.
Actually, we did get two quotes. I know that. One was from National Wash Authority. The other one was from McGuire Iron Inc. out of Sioux Falls, South
That was the
Dakota.
lower bid.
The other one's out of Morrison, Illinois.
But the lower bid was 34.
Yeah, the 34.5.
I know the one by Columbia is really dirty.
So if you all want to move forward on this, then I can, hopefully, maybe we can get this on the council agenda for
for
the 26th.
another 10 days. Yeah.
Yeah, but before we move forward on it, I wanted to get you guys to weigh in.
Yeah, so it's paid for through water funds or
Utility.
town council?
Utility. Unfortunately, the utility RTPs go to the town council, which is weird.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's because at one time, the town council was utility.
correct.
well, I just learned something.
Yeah,
I am good.
okay. Because at least we could say that, you guys kind of weighed in on it beforehand, that's all. Okay.
So the 34.5 is from the
34.5,
lowest
do all
bidder
three.
of
That's
the two.
Yeah. Do all three then. Okay, that's all I had. Thank
All
you.
right. All right. If you have anything else, we'll go into payment of the bills. Okay, we have the accounts payable voucher for July 18, 2023. Water District for $28,915.38. Any discussion?
No.
I do not have any questions now.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
I,
Motion carried. And then we have the water utility for July 18th, 2023, for a total of $632,527.09. Discussion.
no discussion from me.
I do not have any either.
A motion.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Public comment. No public comment. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor signify by aye.